how can we make this better? Because it doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be one great AI god pulling us into some utopian or / dystopian future. It isn't going to be that way.
Hi, this is your project management cowboy coming back to you with the second podcast of a series of podcasts that we're doing on AI. The last podcast we did was kind of me venting and sharing some ideas and some concerns about AI. But I have to honestly say I'm not really the expert. I'm one of those concerned managers out there who wants to adopt AI but has all sorts of questions. And that's why I'm particularly excited with the guest that we have this one, Helen Edwards. She actually is an expert, okay? And I've been looking on social media at a number of different sources, and one of the reasons why she stuck out to me, she's a perfect balance between enthusiasm and excitement about the potential of AI, while at the same time not turning a blind eye to the concerns out there. And what I love about her when she's on Instagram and the other social media, it's just fun to listen to her. What she has to say is profound. I feel like every time I'm listening to her on social media, I learn something new. So without further ado, Helen, welcome on board.
Oh, thank you for having me, and thanks for that great intro.
Yeah, it comes from the heart. For those, I've been admonished several times to not waste time in my podcast with introductions, but I stick to it because I'm adamant about it. I always want to know when I do a podcast or listen to a podcast, I want to know who the person is, because I feel knowing a little bit more about the person gives you a better feeling from what perspective they're coming from. And I also want to do a little bit of advertisement. If I don't invite anybody on my show that I don't wholeheartedly support and find is good. So, you know, you're on social media yourself. You probably have many more followers than I do. But for those who don't know you, do a quick introduction. Who are you?
Cool. Well, I'm Helen Edwards. My husband and I co-founded the Artificiality Institute. Now, we've both been in AI since 2016. I actually started earlier than that in 2012. And we got into AI because we had 5 kids that were approaching college age, and well, the 2 oldest were. And it was that time when the Oxford University report dropped, and it was that first sort of panic that we were all going to lose our jobs to AI. And we had these kids say, well, you know, why should I even go to college? The robot's going to do the job. And, you know, they were being a little bit sort of teenage in that sense, but we didn't have an answer for them. So we decided to do the analysis ourselves. So all of this stuff that you hear about jobs, that most of this data set that's used for analyzing jobs comes from the Bureau of Labor Statistics and the ONET database. And we got into that, got our hands dirty in 2016. And that gave us insight and views into the way that this world would unfold. We have spent the last decade really digging into that more, developing our own ideas. And we recently, sort of a year ago, converted from our more consulting-based work into the Institute because we wanted to take more of a, I guess, public good standing around how we see artificial intelligence changing humans and what it means to be human. And so being a nonprofit makes sense. We are a fledgling research institute. It's just the 2 of us at the moment, but we have very, very strong networks through our community. We have an annual summit that we gather every month. I noticed you have a very impressive website, in particular for those people who are desperately looking for like-minded people who are rational but enthusiastic about AI. That's a great source. And it's an incredible event, and it's 2.5 days of really, it's grounded in the science and the intellectual journey around and the philosophy of AI, but goes all the way through you with builders, because that's part of our community, and into design. So that's kind of the arc we have. We really do we try and we are transdisciplinary. We think about, we have cognitive scientists, we have designers, we have neuroscientists, we have computer scientists, we have complexity scientists. We think about this through that complexity lens because we don't think that thinking about this in a reductionist linear terms makes any sense. So our real grounding is, what does it mean to be human with AI? What does it mean to stay human as you use these tools? We are incentivized. We have a natural desire to offload. We will take that deal. We will cognitively offload if we can get the same fidelity. But what counteracts that is our meaning making and our sense making and our sense of purpose to have a life. We are alive, machines are not, and that really does change everything about what we want out of them. So we study that interface. We study the way that people actually use the tools, the way that they describe how it feels, what's happening to their thinking, to their identity, to their sense of what matters, the frameworks they use for sense making and meaning. We study this very much with an eye to how can we make this better? Because it doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be one great AI god pulling us into some utopian or / dystopian future. It isn't going to be that way, but we are on the frontier of really advocating for an entirely different mindset and the tools that we need to create what we call cognitive sovereignty, to maintain and build and be able to author your own mind and author your own life as you use this phenomenal technology that is absolutely awesome.